Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And this is a shout out to Mark, and this is one of the pet subjects that I really do like talking about because it is literally critical to the argument that there is a genocide going on in South Africa. And that is when you've got key government departments like justice and the police targeting a particular racial group in South Africa, which is clearly happening. That puts you into the actual area of a genocide taking place because it's now government policy. All right, let's get to the story, which is associated with the incompetence of the judicial system in South Africa. National Prosecuting Authority head Shamila Batohi describes a criminal justice system buckling in the face of rising crime and dismally low prosecution rates. Law enforcement in South Africa has all but collapsed, with the National Prosecuting Authority this week stating in its annual report that prosecution rates for serious offences have been as low as 2%. Now, you can understand why the thugs out there, you know which community group I'm talking about, are cleaning out because they never ever get arrested. You know, it is like probably the most successful business one can run in South Africa today. That's right, being a gangster. Yeah, I mean, there's no question about that. Aside from the fact that fewer criminals are being caught, the country's regional and district courts appear to have ground to a standstill. And to make matters worse, there was a sharp decrease in new cases that reached the National Prosecuting Authority in the past financial year, dropping from 888,053 cases to 792,895 cases, or a decrease of 10.7%. While crime is increasing at a dramatic rate. So there's something very, very wrong happening here. In addition, poor investigations and botch-ups by prosecutors and police have resulted in a historic low point. An astronomical 103,760 criminal cases have simply been withdrawn, 9% more than the previous year. And to crown it all, courts succeed in finalizing 14% fewer cases despite an increase in plea agreements and alternative dispute resolutions. And here they are going after people like Eben Etzebeth and, of course, the infamous Vicky Mumberg fiasco. This is how conflicted justice in South Africa is. The situation is so chaotic that the country's criminal court sat for only 3 hours and 4 minutes a day on average, 2 minutes more than in the previous year. According to the NPA, or the National Prosecuting Authority report, which was submitted to Parliament on Tuesday, the agency did, however, manage to increase its success rate for certain crimes. For murder cases, it managed to secure a conviction rate of 78.4%. And for sexual offences, the conviction rate increased from 65.8% in 2013 to 74.4% this year. Now, that's clearly people who've been arrested. Most people just disappear in the dust and they never get arrested. So this doesn't mean to say that 74.4% of murders are sorted out. No, tiny percentage of murders actually lead to someone going to court. But Advocate Shamila Batohi, the National Director of Public Prosecutions, conceded that these successes were misleading. An analysis of the annual reports of the South African Police Service and the National Prosecuting Authority, conducted by City Press's sister publication Report, in which cases reported to the police are compared with the National Prosecuting Authority's prosecution and conviction rates in the same period, show the huge imbalance as follows. The greatly feared category of trio crimes, vehicle hijackings, home robberies and robberies at business, appears to almost entirely go unpunished. According to the police annual report, 16,026 vehicle hijackings were reported. In the same period, the National Prosecuting Authority managed to prosecute just 3% of that number. Only 382 convictions were secured, amounting to 2.3% of the hijackings reported in that year. Now you can understand why it's big business in South Africa with these gangs. They never get caught. In the past financial year, 22,431 people were robbed in their homes. In the same period, the National Prosecuting Authority prosecuted only 1,602 home robbery cases. Only 1,045 convictions were secured, amounting to just 4.6% of the total number of crimes reported in the same period. This is absolutely ridiculous. At business premises, 19,999 robberies were reported. Just 771 of alleged robbers ended up before the courts in the financial period, of whom 601 were convicted. This amounts to about 3% of the total crimes reported in that period. Now, earlier tonight I put up a video of shopping in South Africa where another truck had rolled. And you can understand why, the masses just go in there and steal and loot and do whatever they want, because no one's ever going to arrest them. It's out of control. Less than 20% of the estimated 21,000 cases of murder committed in the country annually end up in court. A total of 52,450 sexual offences were reported to the police in the past financial year. That's over 50,000. That's about 1,000 a week. The NPA, or National Prosecuting Authority, secured 4,724 convictions in this period. That's less than 10%. Last week, Batohi told MPs that it was understandable that people did not feel safe. The country is busy losing the fight against organised crime, Shamila Batohi said, and apparently there are literally now thousands of organised crime syndicates who are doing extremely well financially in South Africa. And they are looking for little niche markets, like we had poaching rhinos earlier tonight. There are a whole lot of things that are happening, and where they find an opportunity, they grab it and they steal. And nothing happens to them. Anyway, she said, this is Shamila Batohi, "We dare not applaud ourselves for the high conviction rate while the prosecution rate is so low. If it is true that crime is increasing, as the South African Police Service report shows, then the two departments have to come together to talk about the reason why there are fewer corruption cases in the criminal justice system." And I can give a very simple answer to that, because you start taking the corrupt people before the courts, and all of a sudden it's sitting on the doorstep of the ANC in senior positions, and they're not going to let that happen. So corruption is like a get me out of jail free card. Anyway, she went on to say the National Prosecuting Authority also gets a feeling that the country is busy losing the fight against organised crime. The NPA's report suggests that the institution has been entirely hollowed out in respect of expertise and resources. And guess what you can blame for that? Black economic empowerment and black privilege. Not a single prosecutor's post has been filled since 2016. Get that? Not one. The agency has just a handful of prosecutors left who are able to handle complex commercial cases, even though the Special Investigating Unit, or SIU, reported 293 cases of corruption and fraud at municipalities to the NPA. The Prosecuting Authority could only handle 9 of them. And one of them, of course, is that infamous one with the mayor in Durban. She's before the courts for what they were doing to the Department of Sanitation and rorting the system there. And apparently it's no longer just about 180 million rand that they rorted. It's closer to 400 million rand that they rorted. It's absolutely disgraceful. Anyway, getting back to the story here. Not a single prosecutor's post has been filled since 2016 because there is no money. And guess who's made sure that there's no money? The ANC government, because they don't want themselves being pulled before the courts. The National Prosecuting Authority has 4,408 posts, of which 1,142, or 25.9%, are currently vacant. The personnel are also increasingly using the National Prosecuting Authority's health and wellness program because fewer employees have more work to do, according to the report. The report emphasises the critical shortage of budgetary funding in the NPA, or National Prosecuting Authority, saying it has an over-expenditure of 77 million rand. Morale among prosecutors is low, the reporter warns. But he said, the National Prosecuting Authority was directing its focus on securing prosecutions in corruption cases in order to help restore investor confidence. Well, I don't think they are. If they were, people like Ace Magashula and David Mabuza would be behind bars right now. And so would Julius Malema, Floyd Shivambu, but too big to jail. That's the truth of the matter. In the 2018-2019 financial year, the National Prosecuting Authority convicted only 210 state officials on corruption charges. It also managed to convict 17 people in the private sector of corruption involving more than 5 million rand. The Department of Justice announced last week that it had appropriated 20 million rand for the NPA, or National Prosecuting Authority, to enable the agency to acquire the services of 4 top advocates who would help secure the prosecutions of those involved in state capture. The advocates are Tembika Nkokotabi, Wim Trengove, Ngwako Maneche, and Jeff Budlender. So there you go. You can understand why now when you look at all these reports coming out with horrendous murders and carjackings and all this sort of stuff, and there's that simple little line that comes right at the end. No arrests have been made. Kind of sums up what's happening in South Africa, doesn't it? All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video. Please share this video. And above all, stay safe.